take her away from Dan and all that stuff. But I didn't really like that script too much because I didn't think it was really in keeping with Herbert. I like Herbert a little more contained and a little less ability to be smitten, you know. So in this one, it's a progression, and instead of just bringing back the dead, and you know, in the first one it's parts. I've never tried parts before, and in this one he connects those parts. It's a pretty bizarre sort of like combination, culminating in the creation of a woman. It's a very Frankenstein kind of story, and so Dan and Herbert create a woman, starting with the next line. Which is how he gets Dan to do it. Any other questions? Yeah. Is it as bloody as Re-Animator? In a way it is, but in another way it can't be, because they decided to, see, the first one came out unrated, you know, and from a business point of view they didn't want to do that again because they didn't really make as much money as they could have. Business, you know. So now it's R-rated. I'm sure that when it comes out on tape, it'll be the unrated version, but they were very lucky when they got the R rating. They didn't have to take out too much. They were very lenient with them, and so it's the spirit of it is really still there, and it's quite strong stuff. Yeah, you'll be watched, I'm sure. Yeah, any else?
Yes. What else have you been doing professionally since the original Re-Animator in the last 5 years?
I did From Beyond. I did a movie called Dead Man Walking. I did another H.P. Lovecraft called The Evil Clergyman, which was part of a trilogy called Pulse Pounders, which has never come out. I did that with Barbara Crampton. It's a pretty good little movie, but it never is sitting on a shelf somewhere in sort of legal hell. Don't ask me. I've done some theater. I've gone off and done Shakespeare and things like that. So I've been keeping busy. Yeah. It's totally different. I mean, it's different challenges. You know, the thing that's great about film is it's like pieces of a puzzle, and getting all the pieces right and in the right order in your mind, and where am I now, and what did I just do, and you know, you do things at the end of the movie first, and continuity, and trying to get the arc of a character all completely out of context. But when you do stage, it's like, if you messed up last night, you can get it right tonight, and you get a progression, and you get to go from the beginning to the end, and so it's, and plus there's an immediate reaction from people, so you can modulate, and you know, whereas if the joke doesn't work on film, well, you know, or not work on film forever, and then you can't go back. So those are sort of the things. You more control on stage, frankly, as an actor. Yes? The question, if you can't hear it, is does Herbert and Dan sort of connect in the second one? It seemed like Dan needed Herbert in the first one. In this one, there's a great deal of resentment. Dan has got a lot of pent-up, he's really angry at Herbert, and they're really at odds a lot of the time. A lot of fighting and bickering and wrestling back and forth, and so Herbert has to try a lot harder to convince Dan to go along. So there's a lot more tension between them. It's we had a lot of fun with that. Yeah, back there.
Just feeling Herbert's basically jaded nature. I mean, you came across as a very funny drawing. Did you have some time playing Herbert West?
Oh, I had a great time playing Herbert West. He's very jaded, very superior. Nothing's going to stop him. He's got the blinders on, and that's all there is to it. Get out of my way. In the second one, this script is very good. I have a lot of great things to say, and a lot more do than I did in the first one. I'm on screen a lot. I didn't really cut very much of my stuff, so I'm there a lot. And we also sort of progressed with Herbert. We kind of tried to find some other little kind of clues as to what makes him tick. You know, there's a scene where he's watching Dan King make love to this woman, and it's like it's not perverse, it's not peeping Tom, it's more of a curiosity. How many people do that? What is this intimacy thing? I just don't get it. You know, what is it? And there's a confusion, and there's something missing in the guy, which makes him be the way he is. So terrific. Yes. That's a good question, and I really don't know how to answer it because I don't really use the Stanislavski method, although I'm sure there are elements of that in what I do. I don't know. There's just something about him that I sort of understand. You know, I don't. The thing is I look at him as a well-intentioned person who's got some problems. But I mean, but you know, I look at it from the point of view of this having a purpose. He's got a very strong goal, and he is very committed to it, and nothing is going to get in his way. And he's got a sense of humor, you know. It's what kind of keeps him probably. If he didn't have that sort of dry, you know, observations on things, he'd probably split apart or something. Yes. In the first one, was there any footage taken out that I was sorry to see go? No. No, there were a couple scenes that I was glad that were taken out. One in particular was there was a scene where when all hell broke loose in the down there in the morgue and everything, and we killed the guy, the big muscle guy with the bone saw through the chest and all that. And then there was a scene where we were back at the house, and Dan's very, very shaken, and I very victoriously did it. You know, we know it works. And all of a sudden I go into convulsions and I run in my room, and Dan follows me in there, and I'm injecting myself with the serum. And you know, it becomes evident that one of the things that drives Herbert is this serum. And sort of an interesting idea, but I was glad that it was cut because, you know, I don't want Herbert to be, I don't want him to have any artificial reason for what he's doing. I want it to be from his, you know, his own psychological drive. Yeah. The R version, yeah. And it was in there, wasn't it? This scene was in the Exactly. You know, the thing is, there is an R-rated version of Re-Animator, but neither Brian Usna or Stuart Gordon were aware of it. I mean, they were off in Italy. We were making From Beyond, and that was just something that the company threw together and put out there. And I don't think it was too wise, you know. So don't watch the R-rated version. It's not out. Yes. Well, Herbert's not a bad guy. See, I don't look at him as a bad guy. He's got great purpose. There's so few people in this world seem to. Yes. Oh, Dr. Hill is pompous places. It was great working with him. He's in the second one, but you know, I didn't work with him at all. I worked actually about 10 minutes with him, but most of the time I acted with a rubber head. And so it was really weird, you know, when we were on screen together and everything, but he was never there. he's a very good actor, and he had to go through a lot. You know, imagine sticking your head through a pan with blood for days on end. You know, not being able to scratch your nose or other things. Yeah. Yes. Well, I answered that question. I'll go through it again. My training, you know, high school, and then I went to college for about 6 years, doing a lot of theater, going through training and doing regional theaters. And about 10 years ago, I went to Los Angeles and started banging my head against the wall. Yeah. Next movie. It looks like I'll be going this September to Italy with Stuart Gordon to do Pit and the Pendulum, a remake of Pit and the Pendulum. Should be pretty good. Bizarre script, quite driven, and takes place during the Spanish Inquisition, and Stuart Gordon is directing it, so you can imagine. Yes?
Pit and the Pendulum, you're playing Vincent Price's role of the husband that takes his wife stuck in the wall.
It's a totally different script. This one takes place in Spain in like 1600s, and it has to do with the Spanish Inquisition, and the guy who's heading the Inquisition, if he finds out someone's not a Christian, then he sends them to the pit, the pendulum. But no, I won't be playing that role. I'll be playing like his first lieutenant / attorney / scribe / next in line to power. Yes?
Does anyone from the original Pit and the Pendulum have anything to do with it? I know Richard Matheson had written the screenplay and Robert Steele had a role. Is anybody going to be involved?
I don't think so. No, Dennis Paoli wrote the script, and so it's a completely different version. Sherilyn Fenn, because of Twin Peaks, is unable to go because she's, you know, on a hit series. Peter O'Toole, it's just, you know, this project's been canceled and delayed so many times that he's on to other things, and so he can't do it. And Billy D. Williams' role was taken out of the script. No, I don't know. I don't know. I heard rumors of Tony Perkins, and I heard rumors of Lance Henriksen. Yeah, good actor, very good actor. So that's the last I heard. But that was a while ago. Just, you know, you should wear a brace more often. You got a lot of basic questions. Re-Animator and Bride of Re-Animator. I like it a lot. It's quite witty. It's funny. It's horrific, and it's very, very grand. Very lightning and thunder, and how dare you? Out of my way. Yes. No, I hope so, you know. I'd like to do, you know, it's like, I tell people it's like being invited to a buffet and being told you can only eat, you know, red peppers or something, you know. I want that up there, and so I'm just hoping that I can use it as a springboard and, you know, and be able to branch out, but you gotta ride the train that brings it to town, so eventually, you know, I'll be able to do other things.
Yes?
How many people have seen this movie? Phantom Empire. I thought it was on tape or something. Okay. Fred Olin Ray called me. I did a movie with him called Cyclone. You know, and big hot rod motorcycle. And so he called me up and he said, look, I'm putting up my own money and I want to make a movie. I said, great. He said, I want to make it in a week. I said, a week? He said, yeah. And so I thought about it. I thought, well, okay, we'll see what you know, I want to know what you can do in a week. And I found out. Yeah. The answer is, you know, I mean, it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek, sort of cheap, you know, C- movie with it. It's sort of fun. I mean, you know, it's not like gag me with a spoon or anything. It's just quite ridiculous. But you know, it's like one shot. Okay, let's go. You know, and it's no coverage and whoa, yeah. But it's I'm amazed he got it together in like 6 days. You know, that was considered. But I still get questions about it. Yeah. Yeah, what's it like to sit down and watch a movie? It's like, I don't know, it's really weird. It's really weird. It's interesting because, you know, the character is so different from me that it's not like I'm watching myself, really, but in a way I am. And I enjoy it for the most part, unless I see that I could have done something better, and then I don't have tomorrow night to do that, you know, it's done, it's there, and I just have to go, okay. Yeah, so I enjoy it. I enjoy it. If it's good, I die if it's bad. Yes.
What differences do you notice working between Stuart and Brian?
Yeah, the question is, what's the difference between working with Stuart and Brian? And the answer is really like apples and oranges. Stuart, they're both great to work with. I was amazed when I worked with Brian how efficient he was and how he knew what he wanted. And it was also different in that already with, you know, the Re-Animator and my portrayal of Herbert had already been established by the time Bride came along, and so he really let me go and just be free and just do what I wanted to do. He really trusted that I knew what the style was, I knew what best to do, and so he pretty much gave me free rein. Working with Stuart was great because he's a madman and he's got a vision and he knows exactly what he wants, and sort of like Herbert, you know, and so and he's got a sense of humor, and he also really knows how to talk with actors, and you know, instead of just saying, you know, be happy, you know, which is like, be happy, okay. It doesn't work. So he knows how to like get you to the place where you've got to be, and in the right way. But Brian, that's not to say that Brian was bad at it, not at all. I mean, he was much more. He put the team together, and he knew that, you know, they would carry the ball. So they were both very good, and Brian's very technically very efficient. I was surprised at how able he was. You'll see with the movie, great special effects too. Yes. Yeah, that was it wasn't my first, but it was one of the first ones where I had like more than 3 lines to speak. Frightmare, yeah. I did that when I was like that was about 10 years ago, I guess, and it was a Frightmare to make it. I mean, it was real low budget, and I thought it could have been better. I thought the film could have been a lot better. But, you know, I was glad to work. It really was. Yeah, interesting, I got that job because I had brown hair. Really, because in the movie I lose my head, and the only dummy head that they had brown hair. So it's like, oh great, you know, go to school for 6 years and get a job because my hair is the same color as a dummy head. It's great. That's great. Confidence building. Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself directing a movie?
Oh yeah, I'd love to. In fact, if the Re-Animator series progresses, I'd like to do one somewhere down the line. Yes. Well, there's some talk. Any ideas for Re-Animator like 3? I mean, yeah, there's some talk about it, and once again, it's called Legal Hell, and so you know, they're just trying to figure out the best way to do it and where and all of that stuff. there's no reason, if this one does well, either theatrically or on video or both, you know, there's no reason why there should be a third one, right? Yes, you wanted to... Do I have any ideas for a Re-Animator? No, because, you know, there's always already some talk about a third one, and it really kind of depends upon where the storyline goes with that. You know, you don't want to take it out of context or anything. So it's like, you know, you got to find out what's left, what pieces are in place, and how can you use that to continue. So, no, I don't really have any ideas, but we'll see. Third one's kind of interesting ideas. Yes? What? Yeah. My family? You know, I get a lot of, you know, when are you going to make a movie without any blood and stuff? You know, it's like, well, you know, hey, pays the bills, you know, and give you a break, you know. So, I mean, you know, they're very proud of me, and they're glad that I'm doing well and all of that. But, you know, it's like when you talk to your aunt or something, you know, it's not exactly like, you know, something that she's going to like put chains on and go out and watch Re-Animator, you know. Sort of like, you know, clutches her purse whenever she's around. You know, it's weird. Yes. Yes.
Are there any movies over the last few years that you wish you had a part in, or any particular characters in any movie, not necessarily horror, that you looked at while you're watching and said, boy, I wish I could have played this part, or I think I could have done this part really well?
Yeah, every movie I see, I'm gonna do. Hey, I could have done that. I'm calling my agent. Yeah, you know, that's the way it is with actors. You know, you always say, hey, I could have done that. Why didn't I do that?
In Monkey Shine,
I didn't see it.
there was a scientist in that was doing experiments with monkeys to try to make one monkey in particular smarter than the rest.
Whoever could do that.
The guy resembles you, and I actually had to take a closer look, and I couldn't help but think that I kind of wish that you had the role.
Oh, come on. Never know bring it back to look. Shucks. What was my agent? Okay. Let me go to this gentleman.
I was going to ask, what are your interests, hobbies, things like that?
What are my interests, hobbies? Baseball. I love baseball. I was hoping the Sox were going to be in town. Maybe go to the Green Monster, but they're in Texas, right? So I like baseball. I like to read a lot. I'm married. It's a hobby right there. In fact, my wife's expecting a baby in about a month. So, if it's a boy, we're going to name him Herbert. No.
Son of Re-Animator.
We're going to name him West. No. Yes.
Has anyone, any producer of an unrelated film asked you to do another Herbert?
No, not at all. Not at all. I really don't know. I think that Brian retains the rights to Re-Animators.
A similar character, like plays a good character.
Yeah, but you know, if they did, you know, I would really kind of balk at it because, you know, I don't want to be known necessarily as just as a mad scientist, you know. It's like, I could do a lot more than that. I mean, I guess I do it okay, and it's fun doing it, but it also sort of takes away from Herbert if I do it, you know, too much in other places, and it's like, you know, Herbert isn't really just Herbert. He's, you know what I mean? So let him live by himself. Any more questions?
Are you still doing these Facebook?
What's your name? Huh?
Randy.
Okay, Randy. I'll just say, yeah, Randy. lately. About 2 or 3 years ago, I kind of put the brakes on it and just said, okay. Because what would happen is I'd get a play, and usually they're out of town, and I would go out of town, and then it would be like trying to start up an engine when I would get back and all of that. And so I finally decided that I would just stick it out and see what this is like, and just kind of pursue film for a while. So I haven't really been concentrating on it lately. But I'd like to go back and do it. I'd love to. Yeah.
What do you think about all the fuss that a lot of people make about horror movies?
Oh, they don't. Well, sometimes they just don't have a sense of humor. Sometimes they're a little too puritanical. Sometimes I think all their fuss brings more attention to it than if they just keep their mouth shut. I mean, really, it's like fanning a fire, If there's a fire and you blow on it, well, it's just going to get worse. You tell someone you can't do something, they're just going to be more defiant in doing it. So that's the way I feel about it. Yes?
As an actor, what's that feeling
I think there should be another rating. I think there should be an A rating. I think it's really quite evident, with some of the movies that are coming out now that are being given X's. I think there's a little bit of favoritism. If you're a big studio, gee, Arnold Schwarzenegger can hold two arms with blood pumping out of them, and some other movie that's not nearly that bad gets an X rating for it. I think there's a lot of favoritism going on. I also think it's kind of questionable that, like, when Temple of Doom comes out, the powers that be make it so that, we'll create PG-13 because it's a little strong for PG, and we don't want an R because we won't make as much money. So, we'll make a PG-13. And now all of a sudden it's like, no, we can't give it an A. We just don't do that. It's just a little double standard, I think. Yes?
Is there a role that you really like to play? Do you have a favorite, something that you really like to be able to portray on screen or stage?
I get asked that question a lot, when like some actors will say, Hamlet, or something like that, but I really don't, I just don't have something that I'm just itching or dying to play. I just don't. I just kind of take it as it comes, and that's really the truth. Yes?
Okay, is Re-Animator something you might run for a video store and watch yourself?
When I got this movie, he's asking, is Re-Animator a movie that I would run to the video store and rent? Yeah, because I'm in it. No. That's a joke. When I got Re-Animator, I said, it's based on H.P. Lovecraft. And I went, really? Oh, wow, great. Who's H.P. Lovecraft? I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. So I'm not really this has sort of made me a sort of a horror genre fan. I really don't, I didn't really, when I was a kid, I went through this period where there used to be a magazine called Eerie Magazine. Remember that? And me and my cousin would get together and go, and go through that, but I never really stuck with it. And so, you learn something every day. Yes?
I'd like to ask you a question about working with Ken Foray.
Yeah.
Because he really is one of my favorite actors.
Ken Foray is the big football player in From Beyond. Really nice guy. It was really, really good to work with him. We made From Beyond in Italy, and there's not too many blacks in Italy, and especially bruisers like him, it was really kind of cool. Like walk by the Coliseum with Ken Foray, no one messed with you, wide berth, And he had a hell of a time finding a leather jacket that fit, too, He's a good guy. I like him a lot. Yes?
When will Bride of Re-Animator be released?
Tony tells me that it'll come out in November. I thought that it was October. First I heard September, then October, and I found out at breakfast, November. So I guess there's a lot of horror movies from the big studios coming out around Halloween, and they didn't want to just say, you know, it's a horror movie, because it's a little more than that. So they'll bring it out a little bit after Halloween. It's opening in London like next week. So, yes.
Excluding Re-Animator and yourself,
I can't.
what are some of your favorite movies, say horror movies, and favorite actors?
Well, the first thing that jumped into my mind was one of my favorite horror books was The Shining. And I stress books because I was sort of disappointed with the movie. I was a lot disappointed with it. I mean, I think Kubrick has a lot, you know, when I first walked in here, you were talking about Stephen King and about some of his things not being as successful as others. I was really upset because that was an incredible book that I felt was ruined, because if you remember, he's trying so hard at the beginning to be good and to not be bad. And the way that Nicholson, who's a great actor, was directed was like from the get-go, he's nuts, don't worry about it. You know, it's like from the beginning you went, this guy's nuts, you know? And so there was a dramatic tension that was just completely lost. And I don't know, some of the casting was sort of, what? I'd like to see a remake of The Shining someday. A good one. You know? The Stand, I'm glad to hear that that's going to be made into a movie, but it's so epic, I don't know. You know, something has to go, I think. Of course, it's been a while since I read it, but anyway. Okay. Yes, oh, yeah, Randy. I'm telling you, what would I do without Randy? You can be here tomorrow.
Is there anything you want to do in film, or that you didn't do in Re-Animator or from the Unconsidered Resource? Within your own morals, that you didn't do?
You're asking a guy who like eats brains and from beyond, is there anything I won't do? Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you know, there are times when I really kind of raise a stink, you know, about just a particular way something is going to be handled, or like completely unsubtle, or knock them over the head graphic. You know, I really do kind of pull back from that. I think the human imagination is much more interesting than just laying it out there for like any fool to, you know, kind of see and kind of. I just think that there are better ways of conveying, more artistic ways of conveying it. Because when it gets too base, then it's not art anymore, it's something else. That's my personal opinion. So, yes?
Do you see acting till you're 50 or 60, or do you...
52. That's all 52. Yeah, I mean, I hope to branch out and be able to direct and produce and act and everything. But you know, an actor is a lot like an athlete, except that an athlete's career is kind of over when they're like 35, whereas an actor, you know, many rebirths. So I hope to act, you know, my whole life, really. Yes.
Do you have any amusing anecdotes about like working with all the different props?
Well, I have one about From Beyond. Speaking of the brain, you know, you remember that scene where she comes in, and I saw it on TV the other day that they kind of cut out that little part where I was chewing on the brain. And I'm eating this brain. It had this rubber brain, okay, and it had one bite out of it. It was like a rubber bowl with a bite taken out of it. And so like I was acting like I was eating it. Cut. And so she says, look, you know, are you eating something? I said, well, no, I'm just kind of miming it because, you know, there's nothing there. It's, well, let's get something in there. And it's like, well, we can't get anything in there because it's like, you know, the color. It's got to be sort of a pink, kind of a gray thing, you know, it's got to match with the, he goes, well, someone said, we got some polygrips. So it's like, you know, oh, okay, polygraph, it's pink, you know, so we put it in there, it's like, you know, and it's like, you know, and my next line was, it's delicious. And my my line came out. Cut, you know, Stuart said, what's going on? I said, you know, I can't eat it, you know, I mean, come on. He goes, here, give it to me, let me try it. So they put some polygraph in. He said, it's easy, you just take a bite and and so I said, okay, just mind it, let's get this shot. So, I'm just going to show you, you know, Stuart always says, I will not make an actor do anything that I can't do myself. Bingo. I got it. So we both went to the bathroom for about 30 minutes going, man, that stuff's serious. I know if I lose my teeth, you know, it's still okay, because they're right there, no problem. My God, I just saw this guy back there with the white makeup on. What's going on? Oh my God. Oh my God. I'll talk to you later. Randy, no wonder? Well, I appreciate being up here. You guys are great, and I hope you go out and see Bride of Re-Animator.